spent $500,000 investing into my medical education. You dive in the deep end and you burn the boat. Family medicine doctor, running a successful marketing agency. I was blessed with the one person in my life, my mentor, who taught me everything that I needed to know. Stay home and build. While other people were smoking weed, playing video games, me and my co-founder were sitting at a table for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, because they will try and take your clients. I was paying $8,000 a month to fire my PR agency. Just hold us hostage. Entrepreneurs fall into the trap of planning. Our business would be gone.
If you're an entrepreneur and you're struggling right now, you feel lonely, you feel like a failure, and business just isn't going the way that you want it to. There's a lot of people just like you. And I think that some of the advice that I'm about to share is going to resonate, is going to get you through this. And if you're already having success, this is going to help get you to those next stages, because everything is levels. Once you escalate past 10K a month, there's 100K a month, 1 million a month, $10 million per month. And each one of those levels comes with a new set of challenges. This video is going to outline some of those challenges that you might be going through right now and talk to you about how to get through them. I hope this helps.
Just with your intro, I'm really excited. You have a unique background, obviously, starting in the medical field, being a doctor, and then transitioning into entrepreneurship. So can you just talk about like how that journey was for you, those early days, and was it a hard transition, or was it, pretty easy to start your entrepreneurship journey from being a doctor?
Starting strong. First, I want to say thank you for having me, for being here. Barack, you're the man. Everyone who's investing in their education to be here is like the best first step in the world. Never stop doing that. I still pay a ton of money to further my education. All right, let's talk a little bit about the journey. A lot of people here are probably going through that identity crisis, right? Maybe you have a job or a career that you've spent a lot of time and money investing into. I spent $500,000 investing into my medical education. If I were to put that money into time, it's a lot more time than 4 years undergrad, 4 years medical school. I did a year of training and residency. Leaving that was crisis of identity more than anything. Everybody expects you to be a doctor. Everyone calls you doctor, but I wasn't happy. I was in training as a family medicine doctor, running a successful marketing agency, and was left with the decision on whether or not I wanted to pursue business full time. I was crazy enough to have the confidence in myself that I was going to be better at that than I was going to being a doctor, that my earning potential was going to be more, that my quality of life was going to be better, that I was going to be able to impact more people. But yeah, it's a gamble. You dive in the deep end and you burn the boats. There's really no going back. I could, but at this point, there's no way it's happening. My call to action, I guess, the lesson to learn there is if you're doing something on the side, or if you have a career that you've been pursuing for a long time and you want to do this business thing, it feels right, you want the quality of life, you want the freedom, rip the Band-Aid off, burn the boats, and do it. And as long as you don't quit, eventually you will succeed. Most people lose because they quit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think being a part of, a good community, especially when you're, launching that business and you're making that huge transition like you did, is so important. But how did you, get into the public relations space, and like what really sparked your interest to start Outer PR?
Sure, intro into business. So got into medical school. I took a year off in between, and at that point I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship, business. I had studied human biology up until that point. Didn't know what an LLC was, didn't know how to market. I was blessed with the one person in my life who was my mentor, who taught me everything that I needed to know. His name was Jesse Henry, and he was president of the Entrepreneurship Club at Florida State University, and I was living with him during that year. I started a company that year called SA Chief. I was trying to make a few extra bucks on the side while I was working in the hospital, helping people write their personal statements and academic papers. I wrote so many papers that year. And through that, I learned the basics of business. I'd go to Jesse, bro, how do you get an LLC? How do I build a website? And one by one, we would knock those items off the list. I was actually in Tallahassee, and I brought the physical papers for the LLC to the Capitol building. I didn't know how to file them online, and it was right around the corner, so I drove over there, and they looked at me like a crazy person for delivering the packet of LLC papers by hand. But that was my intro into business. Fell in love. That went under, like 95% of businesses do, when I started medical school. But the skills that I learned starting that essay writing company, I translated into helping clinics, hospitals, and doctors with their marketing. And that was my second year of medical school, and that grew all the way up until residency and transformed into what it is today.
Gotcha. And so you launched, Outer PR, like kind of during the COVID era, right? 2020, kind of in that?
January 2020.
Gotcha. So what was that like for you, like building teams and starting to scale your PR company right in the middle of a pandemic with, just the market and how everything was during that time?
It was scary. I think we were at an advantage Contrary to popular belief, during that time there was nothing to do except stay home and build. While other people were smoking weed, playing video games, me and my co-founder were sitting at a table for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, building, reaching out to people, figuring out how to do PR, talking to everyone that we needed to talk to, building our websites, building our marketing assets. The challenge was getting people to come work with us during the pandemic, asking them to come into our little 1,000-square-foot apartment, 2 guys, and come work on this startup that was nothing. We found a couple really amazing people to come do that with us. One of them is now our COO, and when she started working for us, we got her for like $40,000 a year because it was COVID and the opportunities weren't great out there. And because of the economy, I think a lot of people did start to wind down their budgets and start to look at those things. And when we started, we were charging $500 per month. And if you know anything about PR, that is nothing, that's penny. So I think for that reason, we were able to bring on a lot of clients really quickly. And because I had already been doing marketing and serving doctors and clinics for several years at that point, we onboarded a lot of clients really fast, had some big wins for them early on, and the rest is history.
Love it. And in terms of, like leadership style, obviously you said, you were, having people starting to come into the office as you were scaling, and how difficult that was obviously during COVID, and even now too, everybody wants to be remote. And I personally think, being in an office and being able to collaborate in person is important, even in a hybrid setting. So you obviously have to, be a good leader. You got to have leadership skills to, implement that into your company. So can you just talk about how important it is to, really build teams within your industry, and really like what you look for when you're hiring for somebody in your PR agency?
I agree with you with the work from home culture. It's affected our company too. We bought office buildings in downtown St. Pete and Orlando, so our team has no excuse not to come into the office. I think coming into the office is so important for culture, for work ethic, and for longevity of an employee. You want to retain that person. You want that person to be invested in the company. It's really hard to do that remotely. Building a team is probably the hardest thing that you're going to encounter when you're trying to scale. When you're just getting started and you're trying to get to $10,000 per month, it's not that important. When you're trying to get to $100,000 per month, you're gonna have a hard time doing that on your own. So there's a lot of things, little things that you're going to learn throughout that hiring and recruiting process that are going to make or break it for you. We had a couple situations where employees would almost hold us hostage because they were managing all of our clients, and we knew that if they were to leave, if they were to quit, our business would be gone. So we held on to employees much longer than we should have. We should have terminated them immediately as soon as we saw any red flags. You've got to have your I's and T's crossed when you're signing contracts with your employees, because they will try and take your clients. They will try and go off on their own and start their own companies. So there's a lot of learning experiences to come. The important thing to note is when you're hiring, you need to replace your weaknesses first. If you can have somebody operate the company while you focus on selling and marketing, that's step number 1. Step number 2, have somebody selling, you focus on marketing. And then ideally, you build a marketing team around you. And that's what we did. That's how we were able to scale. And now obviously we've got our HR directors, we've got 2 offices, we've got a hiring team. There's levels to everything, and there's different problems that you're going to encounter along the way.
And I want to, elaborate on that, with just the scalability with your company. Mm-hmm. And let's just, look 2023, a previous last year, and just like, how are you, able to scale, specifically within your industry and your market with other big PR companies across the US? Can you just give us a breakdown on like how that was on a strategic basis?
This advice is going to apply no matter where you are, because if you're just starting out and you're trying to compete against companies that have been doing this 10, 20, 30 years, you have to figure out a way to get somebody to trust you and to hire you over that person, because people have a lot of choices. You are not the only ones doing what you're doing. And the same thing is true at any level. Right now, we're competing against companies that have been doing PR for 100 years. Their retainers are a lot higher than ours, and we have a different competitive advantage, which is we offer month to month. We offer a lot of auxiliary services in addition to what we charge, and they're getting really that boutique handheld feel, as opposed to working with a company like Edelman, who's been around for 100 years and has $1 million minimum. They're not really getting that. So no matter where you are in your journey, you need to figure out a way to differentiate yourself from the people who have been doing it a lot longer. You can do it on price, sure, but there's a lot of better ways to do it. But you need to figure out a way to stand out and a way to earn the trust. And no matter where you are, even whether you're where you are now or you're where we are now, trying to compete against the people at that next level, there's always a next level.
And do you think, if you're just starting out as like, a young entrepreneur and, you have a small business, small team, what do you think are like those non-negotiables? Like, do you think you should negotiate with your price? Should you lower your prices, to start building testimonials and getting, revenue driving through your business, or is there, other things that you should look to do versus, cutting costs for your product or your service?
I'll say when you're just starting and you don't have any testimonials and you probably suck because you don't have systems and operations in place, you're probably not very good at executing your service unless you're doing it all yourself, in which case you're probably overburdened and things are going to slip under the rug. What do you do when you're starting? Yes, I think you can negotiate on price. When I do negotiate on price, especially when I was starting out, it would be, yeah, we're gonna do this for you for $500 per month, or we'll cut it to $400 because I know you're on a budget. But in return, I'm gonna crush this for you and I want a testimonial. I want a video testimonial from you. I want a case study from you. Not only will that help you close more deals because now they think that you're gonna go and crush it for them, they're gonna be a case study for you, but it's gonna help you. It's a race to fill your docket up of case studies and testimonials because that's how you eventually charge more. That's how you get referrals. Whatever you need to do, especially if that's the only bargaining chip you have when you're starting out, I would come down on the price.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, the more testimonials you can get out there, the quicker that, you can really scale and get into the marketplace. So in terms of just, the market conditions in your industry, your company, how much are you evolving as a founder at Outer PR, and how has the market, really changed throughout the last couple of years as you scaled your company?
Broader market conditions are probably not something you should worry about right away, but they definitely start to affect your company when you're running a large operation and you've got a $300,000 a month payroll. So it's definitely something that we think about, especially as we go into, potentially a recession. That was a fear for a long time. We felt it for a year. And PR, quite frankly, doesn't generate revenue for companies right away. It's not clear how it does. So if I was a company and I had a PR agency that I was paying $8,000 a month to, and sales started to drop, the first thing I would do is fire my PR agency. So that's actually something I started thinking about at the beginning of 2023. And as a founder, you got to get creative. You got a large payroll. You need to figure out how to keep your team fed. You don't want to do layoffs. You don't want to fire people. So in 2023, we started Otter Leads AI. It's our lead generation branch of Otter Marketing. The thought there was, if things go south economically, the first thing people are going to cut is their PR. The last thing they're going to cut is the company that's generating sales for them. And we talk to a lot of people on sales calls. We have a ton of sales calls. The first thing they ask on the call is, what's the ROI? How are you going to make us money? And when you're selling PR, that's a tough question to answer. So instead of saying we can't, now we can say, here's how we're going to generate revenue for you. We have Otter Leads, and maybe we can do some PR stuff as well.
Going off that, what are the prereqs with working with Outer PR? Are companies coming to you with a mission and a roadmap in place, or are they just shooting from the hip and trying to figure out how they can implement PR into their business?
I'll say the longer that we've done it and the bigger we've got, the better our clients have gotten. There's an old saying, it's the client who pays you $500 is gonna be the one on you asking for refunds, being a pain in the ass. And then when you're charging, $50,000 for an annual package, it's wire sent, thanks bro. And there's nothing that has been more true. As we've grown, as our clients have gotten better, they know what to expect when they're coming in. The sale is easier, managing those clients are easier, and we've gotten rid of all of those smaller packages, frankly. But when we started, yeah, we were dealing, those clients who were nickel and diming us for $100 at $500 per month, those were the nightmare clients who have no idea what they're doing. They don't know what PR is. They're praying for a miracle, and they're living it month by month. The only way to get past that is to build your case studies, build your brand reputation, get better at what you're doing, get more referrals, and then your clients start to get better. And once their clients get better, your business becomes a lot happier, healthier.
And can you just elaborate too, because I'm sure there's a lot of, business owners out there that are just starting and they don't have a lot of revenue coming in. And, they're in that situation where they have that, crappy customer that's, holding them back, and they got to start getting money, generating quickly into their business, or they're not going to have a business. So, what can they really do to, get through that, that hurdle, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or a year? Can you talk about your personal experience on what you guys did to get through that and ultimately, start finding those right clients to work with?
I don't think there's a right answer to this. I think the answer is that the first year has got a lot of pain. Because not only are you going to have a hard time getting rid of that client peacefully if you do fire that client, because your reputation is so sensitive as you're growing. A couple bad reviews, a couple Reddit threads can destroy you as a new company. I think the answer is you get ready for a lot of pain that first year. Suck it up for some clients. If they're really bad, then yeah, feel free to cut ties. But I will say, once you get through that, there's a lot of power in firing a client and saying no. It feels really good. And once you are able to fire them and say, listen, you can't talk to my team like this, the expectations aren't right, here's your money back, no hard feelings. 90% of the time that we say that to clients now, it's, you know what, I'm good, I want to stay with you guys, you won't have problems from me ever again. But first year's pain, man, it's pain.
Yeah. You just got to put your head down and run with it. So
yeah,
you know, in terms of like competitor analysis, are you doing that pretty often? And you know, who are some of your competitors that you guys deal with? Are they big, you know, PR firms? Are they, you know, where are they located? Can you touch on, you know, just how you handle your competitors?
We actually did this last quarter where we're building a tool for our sales team, because when a client is on a call with us, we want to know who they're talking to. And in general, PR companies don't put their prices on the website. They don't put their normal retainers on their website. They save that for once they're qualified, you send a proposal. So we actually had 2 people calling around all the PR firms, scheduling sales calls with them to figure out what they were charging, what they were including in their packages, what their terms were. And now we are able to use that when we're talking to prospects who we know are talking to X, Y, and Z PR firm. Here's why we're better than them. They do 6-month minimum contracts. You can come on board with us for a 3-month minimum. All that becomes sales tools. But yeah, I'd say our competition now probably isn't the Edelmans, because those are the companies representing Coca-Cola and the giant corporations. But the step below, I'd say any PR firm who's charging between $5,000 and $20,000 per month for their retainer is our competition. And there's surprisingly few that are out there and successful. I would say somewhere between 10 and 15.
Gotcha. And are they pretty local, or are they spread throughout the whole US?
There's a lot of boutique PR firms. So really small operations, 5 to 10 people, those aren't really our competitors, because they're really boutique, they're really niche. They serve a specific type of clientele. So there's local boutique ones. Those we don't worry about too much. Talking about the national ones, most of them are located in New York. They represent clients all over the United States. That's who we're going after and competing with.
Look out for the next couple of years, you know, your future outlook with the company, you know, Otter PR, where do you really see the company growing? You have about 50 employees?
66 right now.
Gotcha. And in terms of, you know, just scalability into other markets, other, you know, industries, where do you look? You know, I know you're big into lead gen, you know, how is that going to start implementing into Otter PR?
So the goal is 1 new service per year. 2023 was lead gen. We've now got a fully running in-house operation. 2024, we're building out our SEO service. So if anybody knows an SEO owner or company that's closing down their doors, we're looking to either hire someone or acquire someone. But in 5 years, in 10 years, I think the real way to scale a marketing agency is being able to offer full service to a client. Most marketing agencies will do white label marketing services, which does not work. They try and slap like a one-size-fits-all label onto everybody, and the work suffers. And if you suffer in one realm of marketing, then it can ruin the whole experience for the client and something that you're doing really good at. So we crush PR. If we started selling that same person shitty lead gen services, they're gone, no matter how good we are at PR. So every service that we launch, we want to be in-house, and we want to be at the same quality as that PR service. We're able to do for a company, the more we're able to insert ourselves into their businesses, the harder it's going to be for them to leave and the more value that we can provide to them. That's the key, that's the 5-year vision.
There's a lot that can change in a few years, so I think it's really important to have that roadmap. And do you think, you know, every entrepreneur, every business owner should, you know, plan out that 3 to 5 year plan, or is that something, you know, you should really just go year by year, or does it depend on, you know, the industry that you're in?
I think both. I think you should have a short-term outlook and a long-term outlook. I think you're responsible for that, especially if you're in an industry that's rapidly changing. I think it's more important. PR's been around for over 100 years. I mean, there's PR firms that we compete against that have been around for over a century. It's crazy. But yeah, if you're doing Facebook ads and that's your business model, or TikTok ads, or you're doing something with AI, then that changes quite a bit. And you should definitely have not only a 5-year outlook, like a 1-year outlook. What if this happens and everything's gone overnight? That happens all the time.
Yeah, like worst case scenario.
Yeah, what I was doing before the PR agency, that essentially happened to us. You know, one of the social media platforms changed something and the business changed overnight. So you have to be ready to pivot. You've got to be flexible and you can't let it break you.
What do you feel, you know, are the key attributes of a successful entrepreneur?
So if you guys haven't read the book Rocket Fuel yet, definitely pick that up and read it. It breaks down the 2 types of founders that are essential for a successful company. It's the visionary and the operator. I think a successful entrepreneur needs to have at least a little bit of both. The visionary is the creative, it's the marketing mind, it's what are we going to offer, how are we going to sell it, who are we going to sell it to? And then the operator, you need to be able to keep the machine running. You need to make the machine function. And that's a lot for most people. Not everybody has that. But if you can do that, if you can be creative, if you can build things and you can keep something running long enough to make enough money to hire some people, that's like the key to success. And I don't think most people have that or are able to get there, but it's a blessing when you do.
That long enough as you can, and then eventually, you know.
Yeah, and being able to do things that you suck at long enough. I hate legal, I hate numbers. When I was running my own operation and trying to like figure out how much my budget was, I never wanted to look at the bank account, I never wanted to look at QuickBooks. But now I've got Scott, my co-founder, who handles all that so I can focus on what I'm good at. But I was able to do it just enough to get to that point.
What's something people think is important in business but doesn't matter that much?
I still hear a lot of BS about business plans. I've never written a business plan in my life. Most of my good ideas have been on the fly, in a meeting, on a Zoom call. I'm like, I think this makes sense for next year. Like, let's do this. Everyone thinks this is a good idea. Yeah, let's go. Because anything you plan almost never works out the way that you think it is. If you're like, here's what I'm gonna build, here's how I'm gonna hire, here's the stepwise process, and then you go to actually do it, and it is way different than what you outlined and what you planned. I think entrepreneurs fall into the trap of planning. People like to plan every little thing, build checklists, get their website just right and perfect before they start selling.
No.
I think the key is just doing, because it never ends up the way you plan.
Yeah, the logo's got to be perfect before, you know, you can execute anything. So where does like that like line where, you know, you're executing too much? Where is there, like, how do you cross that line? And do you know, like, okay, I need to just start, you know, doing this and pivoting?
Yeah, and that's a good push and pull that I have with my co-founder, because I'm build this, build this, build this. Like, this is 90% done, this is 80% done. I gave somebody else this project. It's like, oh, let's slow down, let's make this work. Let's make sure that we're actually using that and that and that. So yeah, I think you can go too fast and waste a lot of that time and energy on things that don't produce for you. So in that case, yes. I think it's good to have somebody or yourself check you. What are the projects that you're working on? Oh, you got done with that project? Like, is it producing anything? Are people coming into that funnel? Are they downloading that lead magnet? Why not? Why did you stop running that ad campaign?
Collect the data.
Yeah, there's a million reasons why this can happen. And typically, you just didn't work on it long enough. There was one thing that you left out. There was one detail that was wrong. And if you fix that, the whole thing starts working. And then you can move on to the next thing. So we get starry eye syndrome, or shiny object syndrome as entrepreneurs. We always see the next hot thing, want to go do that. They're running YouTube ads, we should go try that. I think real success comes from leaning into what's working and sticking with it until it works.
What's working for your business too, not just you personally. So what are top 3 tips, you know, just a business, entrepreneurship, you know, that if we're looking to start a business, let's say tomorrow, what are those 3 tips that you can recommend us to leave with today?
If you're starting a business tomorrow, meaning you don't know what you're selling and who you're selling to, that's going to be tip number 1. Sell something that you can sell for high ticket to people who have enough money to buy it. That sounds obvious, but a lot of people will choose target markets that will never be able to afford what it is that they're selling. So really think about, what does the market look like right now? What are your skill sets? How can you offer that in a way where you can charge at least $1,000 a month? And then who are you going to sell it to? You got to pick a niche. Pick a niche that has money, that's actually going to be able to afford your services for a long time. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is you need to learn marketing. Nobody's going to do it for you. Every good marketer out there, in my experience, is making a lot of money on their own. So there's a fallacy that I'm going to crush it and hire a good marketer. I still can't afford a good marketer. I know of like a handful that are actually good enough to make a difference in a company. So that's something that every business owner is going to have to learn, or you need to find a co-founder that's really good at it. The way that I learn marketing, watching a ton of YouTube videos. If I'm like, I like that dude, I bought his course, went through the course, implemented the course, and rinse and repeat. Studied human biology. That's the way that I learned marketing. You can do the exact same thing. Tip number 3, hire your weaknesses as soon as you possibly can. If you hate numbers, get someone in the Philippines to do your bookkeeping and review your charts. Go to onlinejobs.ph. They're brilliant, they're geniuses. Even when you're starting out, you can afford that amount of help. It's gonna save a lot of your sanity. It's gonna save a lot of mistakes down the road. And there's a lot of those things. Outline your day-to-day activities, the daily tasks in your business. Look at your to-do list and point to that, the thing that you really hate doing. It's like, do I really need to do that, or can I find somebody to do that for me? That exercise will go a long way for your sanity and for your business.
I think, yeah, you know, hiring the right people is so important. I think obviously you're attested to that, you know, scaling, you know, the last 4 years where you guys are at today. But, you know, I want to get personal too, a couple more personal questions, you know, like what is your, you know, daily routine like? You know, I know you obviously love dogs, you know, you have the open dog policy in your offices, but what is it like, you know, for your day-to-day in Jay's world?
So the old morning routine question.
Yeah.
So I've drinking the Kool-Aid. I've gone to all the masterminds and I've tried the ice baths and the gratitudes in the morning.
Did it work for you?
Some stuff works, some stuff doesn't, or if it does work, it's not noticeable enough. In my opinion, I agree with the Hormozi model. Everyone know Hormozi, watch his stuff. Yeah, he's fun. His morning routine is you get up and you get to work as fast as you can. Get as many hours of work into the day as you possibly can. So my morning routine, I'll usually wake up around 6, 7 a.m. Madison, my girlfriend in the audience somewhere, will typically leave me a glass of pre-workout right next to my bed. Wake up, spend a few minutes with the pups, chug the pre-workout. Now I have no choice but to go work out. I knock that out in the morning so it doesn't interrupt my work day. By 8, 9 a.m., I'm in the office with the dogs. It's awesome. And typically there grinding on projects and meetings till 5 to 7 p.m. On late days, usually come home, work a little bit more, depending on what the day is. Try and eat relatively healthy. I typically eat 1 meal per day at night. Try and get
Intermittent faster?
Yeah, intermittent fasting, but not for the reasons that most people do it. Food slows you down. This is a little doctor tidbit. You eat breakfast and all the blood just goes from your head to your stomach. That's why you get groggy. If you want to optimize your work hours and your clarity, don't eat. The blood stays up there. You can focus for longer. You don't have to worry about taking time throughout your day to go get lunch, eat your lunch, digest because all the blood's going to your gut. So I don't eat. I get a little hungry throughout the day, but I eat a nice dinner.
And you probably never take naps or never feel like you need a nap throughout the day because of that.
When I used to work at home, I would take naps. When I'm at the office, I have no desire to take naps. And that's it. I think working from home makes you lazy. And some people will swear by it. They're more productive at home. I don't know. I don't trust it when my team's at home.
What's like one big regret, that you have throughout your entrepreneurship journey that, could have, be 5 steps ahead of where you're at today if you didn't make this mistake, if any?
I think about these things all the time, where I would have been if I didn't go to medical school. No debt, 4 extra years to focus on business. I've only really been out for 3 years, dedicated to this, and it's pretty amazing what we've been able to build in those 3 years. If I had those extra 4 years, where would it be? I don't know. But I also regret not getting my board certification, not finishing my residency. But again, if I did that, I wouldn't have this. I think regrets are stupid. I'm very happy with where I am. I'm grateful. I'm blessed to have learned medicine, and I can be called doctor for the rest of my life. But yeah, wherever the road takes us, I know people who have gone 50 years old to quit their jobs, started a multi-million-dollar company. Everything happens for a reason. You just gotta not be a victim. Don't be a victim. And whatever situation you're in, you can get through it. There's no reason nowadays in 2024 that you can't start a business and be successful. All the tools are there.
I think, once you discover that mindset shift, the quicker you can be successful in whatever avenue you're trying to get into. So I love that, man. Let's open it up for some questions, and definitely if you want to elaborate any more, but we'll do Hunter in the back first.
Yeah, I'm curious how you acquire for your PR company, what avenues are you using for that? And also on the lead gen side, I think a lot of agencies, what they do is they try to, buy the for, I don't know,
all the resellers.
Here company, and then over here a lawyer, and they can't get, any of them right. So what do you guys do for that?
When you say acquire clients, acquire leads, what do you mean?
Yeah, acquire new clients. What channels are you using? What do you do to be successful with that?
So say now we use all of them. When we started, we did not, because it's really expensive and some of them take a long time. When you're starting marketing and you don't have very much money, you don't have a big team, find whatever low-cost way you can to acquire leads. Cold email, social media outreach is usually where I recommend people start. Once you get bigger, now you can start talking about building a following on social media, which can take a year before that turns out leads. SEO, we now rank for just about every PR search term, so we get a lot of organic traffic through that. We're on a lot of the top PR firm in the country list. A couple of them were mentioned earlier, Clutch, G2, UpCity. When people are searching for top PR firms in various locations, boom, we pop up with all of our reviews, people come to our website, and now those are hot leads that want to work with us. We still do cold email. We run social media ads on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We run search ads, we run YouTube ads, but all that takes time. Do one thing at a time, and if I were to tell you what to start with, it's going to be cold email, social media outreach, and then launch some retargeting ad campaigns. So those are cheap, and most people don't book with you right away. You send them a cold email, they click, cool, but now you can retarget them for a week or two until they finally book and buy.
And then I guess on the other side, on the client side, what do you guys focus on for a lead gen? Do you focus on a particular niche, or are you kind of across the board?
So with our lead gen agency, almost all of our clients come through my YouTube channel. So people who are trying to learn how to do lead gen and they need somebody to do it for them. Because they're all coming in through the YouTube channel, the industries vary a lot. We restrict it to B2B services, software companies, consultants. That range is a lot. So I'll say no, we don't stick to a niche. We're able to make it work with most people, but it does make our job a lot harder, especially from the strategy and copywriting perspective. If you were starting a lead gen agency right now, pick a niche, advertise to that niche, don't do what I did.
You said you need to learn marketing services, and there's some YouTube guys, of course, if you bought, probably after that, I'm sure you learned a lot on your own as well. What would be your advice looking back on the best way to learn marketing from the ground up?
I stick to the way that I learned marketing, which is go into deep rabbit holes on YouTube. Depending on where you are in your journey, there's a lot of stuff on there. There's a lot of creators on there, and everyone's going to be at a different place. Not every form of marketing is going to apply to everybody. So I think the best way to get exposure to all of those things is go into rabbit holes on YouTube. You find something that feels like the right fit. You find a creator that you resonate with, buy their course, dig deeper, and then rinse and repeat for that next thing when you're ready to move on. I still do this. One really cool thing that I just implemented on our website, it's called Black Pearl Diver. All of the traffic on our website right now, people who are visiting us through all of these listicles and top PR firm things, most of them aren't opting in. They're not booking a call with us. They're just coming and bouncing off. Now I can capture the email addresses for everybody who's been on our website without them giving it to us. Super advanced stuff. And now we run automations to all those people who are reaching out to them or retargeting them. And Pearl Diver. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff out there. Everything is a rabbit hole. So go down those rabbit holes, see where they take you.
So did you start with a single member LLC? Like, how do you figure that out? I mean, will you remain by colleague, you thought?
So company structure is an interesting thing. It was a partnership, which is essentially the same thing as a single member LLC. It's treated the same tax-wise, but then you have to work with a CPA to figure out how to minimize your tax burden. So that's still a partnership. We each have our individual S-Corps, and the company pays our S-Corps salary, and then we get dividends. It's all very complicated. I'd say this is the way that the majority of partnerships work. Partnership at the top, each person has their individual S-Corp, and you get paid through that S-Corp, and you get to avoid extra payroll tax.
So you're all up onboarding new client, you're running a B2B cold email campaign for them, and it's not working at first. What are the main few things you like to tweak?
I think the reason we're successful is because all it takes is one little thing to be wrong, and the entire thing breaks, and most people can't diagnose why it's not working. So I would say if a campaign's not working, first you want to check deliverability. That's the first thing you do. Are you ending up in spam? Or are your emails coming through, maybe not to spam, but maybe you've got a big yellow suspicious flag on that inbound email that's causing nobody to reply to it. So check that first. Make sure that you have a good offer and you're targeting the right person. And the only way to do that is to have a lot of experience across different industries and understand marketing language and consumers. Really, it comes with experience, but yeah, make sure that the audience you're targeting is correct. If you're trying to reach out to Fortune 500 CEOs with, you want to edit their YouTube videos offer, it's going to break. If you want to reach out to brand new entrepreneurs who are single member LLCs and don't have a big team and you're trying to do their accounting services for $10,000 a month, it's not going to work. So everything has to line up, and that's where it's probably worth bringing in a consultant who's done it for a while to help figure that out.
So I'm curious, like, who was your first client, and who are your clients? And typically, I work in the service industry too. I'm a consultant, so I'm always curious, like, what was that first client? Like, what was their need? Was there like a bunch at the same time, starting off? And did you know that was gonna happen when you started, like that sale before you came to audition, putting your broker docs and business?
The first notable client that I remember was Le Bijou. It was a hotel in Switzerland, and peak of COVID, hotels are pretty much shut down. This hotel decides we're going to be a quarantine center. It's a really high-end hotel. They were going to do the whole thing with like robots and AI. It was a wild story. Really controversial too, because hotels opening their doors, people are supposed to be quarantining, this is not okay. We ran that story for them and it went like ultra viral. Like every top tier news publication picked it up. Some of them in a negative light, some of them in a positive light. But that one really put us on the map and like taught us that we were kind of good at this and we could figure this out and we could do this.
So you're like the expert hotel. You're the expert in hotel this week.
No. We've got maybe 5 or 10 hotels. Usually they're cool ones, doing something unique. I mean, the Marriott, Courtyard Marriott's not going to hire us to do any CR for them. They're not doing anything cool. Calon Surf is an example. It's like a surf retreat hotel in Panama. We represent them. They're always in the news, always top tier. They're always running like really innovative, fun events. But our clients vary a lot. We represent a lot of law firms, a lot of top lawyers. Mike Mandel, if anyone follows him on TikTok, he's the #1 lawyer in the world, is a client. We represented Alibaba for like a year. We've represented several members of US Congress. There's a pretty big range between services and like thought leadership people like doctors and lawyers.
So who was your first one?
I think some lady named Paula Baldion was our first client, not notable. We did okay work for her, not really interesting to talk about. I'd say the first really interesting one is the Le Bijou. Most of our first clients were nickel and diming for a couple $100.
Besides the dogs, what's your favorite part about what you do?
Favorite part about work? But even when I was in the hospital, I would choose the overnights because I would sit there and be not busy and I could work on business, work on building things. Now I'm at a point where I can come into work and I'm not inundated with busy work. I don't have to do numbers or reports. I'm not in a ton of meetings every day. I can sit there and build. And I've got lots of projects that I choose and work on. And I will lock myself in my office and just crank out these projects and build things. And this is, I think, what I was always driven to do. Even when I was in training, all I want to do is sit there and build. That's my favorite thing. I love doing it every day. I wake up excited to go build.
You talked about adding services every year. Let's say 5, 10, 15 years from now, do you want to work in a different type of industry, or is this the industry?
Do I want to run a marketing agency forever?
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time. I don't know. We've had a couple offers. We have a number that's like our let's do it number. At that point, yeah, I think about it all the time. What's next? Do I want to be, co-founder, CMO of Otter forever? I don't need to be. I love what I do, but I'm always open to the next opportunity.
You mentioned when you first were getting started, at that point where you rip the Band-Aid off and go full in. What point would you recommend getting your business to before you make that move?
As soon as you can afford to. So if you have some leeway saved up, I think the sooner you rip that Band-Aid off, the sooner you're forced to figure it out. Right. Forced to go figure out how to make money, sell some stuff fast, generate some leads fast, reach out to more people. If you've always got that cushion, I think you're always going to half-ass it. So the sooner that you're able to rip the Band-Aid off and go full in, I think that's when you really start building.
So besides like having complementary skill sets, obviously, like how did you go about finding your partner? Like did you run ads? Did you like network for it?
We actually, I didn't even talk about this yet. So we went to University of Florida together. This was my undergrad. And at this point, I was the only person that he knew that had a company. He approached me my second year of medical school to start a supplement, a nootropic supplement. And I was kind of bored. This is before my marketing agency. I was like, I'm down, I'll invest. I'll help you with some stuff. And it was his first company. We ended up not doing the nootropic. We ended up building a EDM, like a rave recovery supplement. Still the #1 selling on Amazon today. If you type in rave supplement, you'll see Rave Doctor. But we connected that way. And I was kind of way ahead of him when we started. And I got really mad at him for like not doing anything for the first 6 months. And I like fired him by email, and he got his shit together. He went and learned Amazon marketing, went and took these courses, came back, and ever since then we've just crushed it together. But I was fortunate enough to have that kind of naturally happen through a college connection. I don't know if there's a way to advertise your way to a business partner, maybe, but it's probably going to be through networking, not through outreach.
So you got to get into a partner too, and then fire the guy and then reconnect.
Yeah, you're going to butt heads. If you got a business partner, there's going to be a lot of times that you butt heads. He wanted to take 3 weeks off to go to Asia while I'm in the office every day. He comes back. I'm like, all right, I'm off for a few weeks, but I'm going to go work on something else. There's a lot of butting heads, a lot of push and pull. But overall, if you've got somebody that you trust, that you can trust, that complements your skill sets well, I think it's a shortcut. It's a massive shortcut to building something together. But you give up 50%, you butt heads, but overall, totally worth it.
So how do you stay organized with your lead gen? So today you say your advertising is many different channels. In fact, you said all the channels. Are you really dialed in with your attribution in your customer acquisition costs? Like, do you really know what that is? And if you do, how do you stay organized with all that? And yeah, how do you track attribution?
Definitely a problem that you're going to encounter a little bit later down the road. You've got advertising channels bringing in leads from ads, from cold email, Maybe they saw your cold email one day and they subscribed through a retargeting ad 2 weeks later. Like, what do you attribute that to? Getting your data in order, huge. If you're planning on scaling and you're planning on spending money on advertising, you're gonna need to figure this out. Unfortunately, this is something I had to figure out on my own because my co-founder didn't want to do it, and eventually did through UTM tracking parameters and a tool called Hyros, which is kind of pricey, but worth it. We were able to get all of our attribution in order, and now we know that even if they clicked on a Facebook ad, top of funnel 2 weeks ago, and came in through a retargeting ad, through a YouTube ad today, that sale is still from that Facebook ad, which is a really hard thing to do if you've never attributed that before. But definitely worth spending a lot of time learning as you're starting to put money into your paid ads.
What's UTM? You said UTM and then Hyros?
Universal tracking something. So at the end of every link, and you'll probably see this as you're surfing the internet and you click on a link and you check the URL bar and you see UTM_sourced equals UTM_term equals. These are tracking parameters that follow that link everywhere they go. So if you come into my top of funnel landing page and you go to the booking a call page, schedule a call, you go to our thank you page, those UTM parameters track you all the way. So if you have them on your links, now when you book a call through Calendly, we get that data. We know what those UTMs were. So if you book a call through that Calendly link, we know, okay, that one's from that cold email campaign that we're running because we've got that UTM parameter over there.
So based on your channels, right, what's producing most of your lead gen today? Would you say cold email?
Cold outreach attributes for about half of it. We do a lot of outreach on LinkedIn automation as well. Our best leads are from inbound through referral sites like Clutch, G2, and UpCity. They're coming up and knowing that they want PR, they see us, they're coming to our site, they're ready to go. Whereas cold traffic that we generate through outreach, they probably don't need PR right now. Maybe they do, maybe they do 2 weeks from now, but they're not very hot. They don't know who we are yet, they don't trust us yet. So we have to build that rapport. Whereas if they come in through one of these referral sites saying, you know, Otter PR is the #1 PR firm in the country, much higher intent, trust is already there. So definitely something worth investing your time and money into from the start is getting those reviews, trying to rank on these sites, get into listicles of top services or top providers. They pan out and produce a lot.
Can you go into a little bit of detail how you're using AI within your businesses?
Everywhere. I'm obsessed with it.
Script writing, billing campaign, everything.
I don't use it for any of our copywriting. It's still not quite there yet, but I do use it for copywriting for our clients. The most notable and I think the coolest way that I'm using AI right now is in our lead magnets. So if we bought a news publication 2 years ago, USAWire.com, and we have full control over what goes up on that news publication. It gets a ton of traffic, it's really successful. We're able to give away free articles to clients or to leads to get them featured on USA Wire. The hardest part about doing that is writing the article. AI right now is writing the article and our automations are publishing the article, all independent of anybody on our team doing anything. So we're able to scale the crap out of that lead magnet, and that's generating a ton of our calls. I mentioned cold email not working. You want to get cold email to work? Give away a free article, figure out what high value lead magnet that you can give away for free, and I promise it'll work.
Have you heard of Air AI?
Yeah, I've tried it.
Does it work?
If you value your sales calls, no. Does it work? Kinda.
Short. Do you think it will in the future?
Yeah, 100%. We're using a tool called HeyGen right now to generate AI video avatars. I clone myself, clone my voice. You can type in there what you want me to say. And a year ago, when these tools started to come out, there was one called Be Human AI. I played with it. I'm like, this sucks. This isn't even close. Now I'm doing this with HeyGen for like $29 a month, and my voice is cloned perfectly. My hand motions, my mouth motions are there. Air AI will be there, 100%. Give it a year, ops. It's coming for everything.
Have you posted those videos on your social media, and have they performed? The HeyGen ones?
Not really. The reason is right now, anytime I post something that's not like lead gen focused and not cold email focused, that underperforms. And to be honest, we just started using HeyGen. Our new Instagram team started Monday, and over the weekend is when I built all those avatars and got them ready, tested them, made sure that they worked and looked okay. But I probably will. I mean, it's crazy. It's really cool.
That article you talked about was quite interesting. To the phone's pretty controversial, and I think the saying, do you believe in this? First off, do you believe in the saying that all press is good press?
No.
No, that's you. And then also, what else have you done? Like, what other controversial or like kind of tearing the line?
You want to hear a funny controversial client story?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Running for Congress in New York, we were representing him. Can't remember his name, Mike something. He was liberal and he was taking a very pro sex worker stance. And yeah, he wanted to legalize prostitution. Like, more power to him. Cool, if you want that to be your campaign slogan, I'm all with it. He thought the right way to do that was to release a sex tape. New York congressman running for Congress. Yeah, and my PR team was the one to do it, to pitch it out there without telling anybody on our team that they were doing that. So, of course, the thing went ultra viral. I mean, if you type in New York congressman sex tape, it'll pop right up. We lost we lost a few clients through that. The person that actually referred that client to us stopped referring clients to us. So, like, how can you push that article? And we didn't even know it happened until it was too late. So that was a fun, controversial one. Not all press is good press. He lost that race, in case you're wondering. He did not win.
What are some other ones that maybe work for you that were kind of controversial or like counterintuitive?
Honestly, I only really hear about the ones that make a big impact in the company. I've been hands off with the client management for a long time. And now we try and stay away from anything controversial. As a PR firm, media is very liberal. We have to be very careful who we touch, what stories we run. And that's another thing for business, right? If you're gonna target a specific political party and you wanna go all in on that, more power to you, go for it. But in general, we like to keep our mouths shut. And I think that's a safe stance for big companies.
You mentioned you represent mostly business to business. Do you work with anyone on personal brands?
Definitely, especially in the PR perspective. We don't really do lead gen for personal brands, but PR, absolutely. Typically, these are going to be thought leadership accounts, people who are experts in a field and want to become the go-to name in that field. So like cybersecurity experts, lawyers, doctors, financial advisors. They need that press to validate that they are the go-to, that they are the expert. So we definitely help them with that, getting them articles, getting them interviewed on TV. They're really easy to get booked on TV, podcasts as well. We try and stay away from anything like entertainment-wise. We've tried it in the past. It's not successful. It's not us. It's not our specialty. But thought leadership, absolutely.
What are some tips around like this starting a personal brand? Because I'm sure there's people that think like, yeah, I'm awesome, but then they get out and then they have not some money, right?
Yeah.
What are some things that you would kind of throw out there to say, you want to be mindful of this starting out, I mean, if you're building your personal brand?
I'd say if you're just starting out, like step one is get on all the social media platforms and start creating thought leadership content about whatever it is that you think you're an expert in. No one's probably going to take you seriously for a while. If you create the content for a while and you do a good job and you give value, you can start getting booked on podcasts, you can start building authority, you can write a book, you can start doing that circuit. But I think step one is social media. That's really where thought leadership is born right now. Do that. Make content for a year with no expectations.
You know, you mentioned earlier about ROI. It's every business really when it comes to social lead. And how do you measure that? How do I know if I hired your company, I didn't outpay you and I didn't make anything? So how do you metric the amount of money that I paid you, and in return, what was my return? Do you have that on the companies that you do? Break that down?
We do our best from the PR perspective, and it's a hard metric to give. And it's like saying, SEO, you hire us to do SEO for you. Are you gonna expect sales from that right away if you're just starting? Probably not. You're probably not gonna start ranking for anything in 6 months, and then you have to attribute it and make sure that it's producing sales for you. Same thing with social media. You can hire a social media agency to run your accounts for a year before any leads come in. With PR, the way that we're able to give them and show them an ROI is based on impressions. So we use a tool, God, what the hell is our tool called? Anyways, it gathers all of the press that we get for our client, and we can see the impressions and shares on that press. And we compare that to the cost of an impression if they were to pay for it in a Facebook ad. And that's the dollar value that we earned for them using PR. It's based on eyeballs compared to Facebook impressions. But yeah, everyone they want to see ROI. That's the biggest question that we get. It's the hardest one to talk about from a sales perspective, especially when you're selling something that doesn't directly translate to ROI. Lead generation's easy, PR not so much.